All right, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. I am Marta Jimenez Lotter, and I am the manager for candidate engagement at the Society of Actuaries. Today, I have the privilege and the honor to talk to Austin Riis-Due. He is amazing in so many ways, but I am going to let you find out how exactly throughout our lunch and learn today. First of all, I want to say congratulations, Austin, on recently attaining your FSA. I'm sure you are feeling a big load off your shoulders, and you should feel very proud of yourself.
Well,
Um,
thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you. So I'm going to give you a very short background on Austin, and then I'm going to let him talk about himself because we all want to hear from him, not for me. So Austin, as I said, is an FSA. He received his bachelor's degree in mathematics on the actuarial science track from the University of Texas at Austin. He graduated a year early with high honors and was allowed to bypass a master's degree and was directly admitted to the PhD program at the University of Waterloo, where he is currently a doctoral candidate in the Actuarial Science and Quantitative Finance program. Austin, can you give us a little bit of background of what that doctoral entails, what you're studying? You're also teaching there. Give us a little bit of background of what you do.
Yeah, so the PhD material, the courses that I had to study coming up here, basically started out with measure theoretic probability, stochastic processes, a whole lot of stuff on statistics and finance, essentially. And I also had the opportunity while I was here to learn from Gord Wilmot, who was one of the co-authors of the Loss Models textbook that I think everybody's quite familiar with. That's taken the prelim exams. I got to learn ruin theory from him through a couple of special classes that he taught just before he retired up here, and so I got to do all that coursework. And then, kind of after the first summer that you're up here, you transition into primarily being research focused and getting to work on your thesis. And so that's started out. I've been looking at artificial intelligence and reinforcement learning, specifically mathematical reinforcement learning, which goes through an area called stochastic control theory. All that's to say, I look at optimal ways to control uncertain processes. And specifically, we're concerned with reinsurance type processes up here. Now, I'm also working on a side project, sort of with well, another paper with some professors from Europe and from Hong Kong, and we're working on that is on risk sharing, decentralized risk sharing, which has to do with when you just have small communities of individuals, how do they come together in order to mutualize their risk without an insurer present? And so I've gotten the opportunity to travel and to meet a lot of different people and come up with different research projects. And so I'm working on stuff both here and kind of abroad with those individuals as well. But it's been a really broad-based program. I've gotten to learn a whole lot of different content, a whole lot of different areas of actuarial science. And now they have me teaching life contingencies up here as well. And so that goes along with kind of, I guess, ALTAM and FAM, those exams up here. And so I've been doing that this semester. We've got our final exam in about 10 days up here. And so
Wow,
that's kind of a 1,000 foot overview of what we're doing up here.
very, very cool. Um, I before we continue, I forgot to mention we are going to take questions and we are going to answer them in the order that they are received. There is a button at the bottom of your screen with a question mark where it says Q&A. Please enter your questions there. And as I said, you can enter them at any time and they will be answered in the order in which they are received. I want to make sure that everybody can get their questions answered. And as I said, just enter them whenever you're ready. Um, I have met very few actuaries, in fact, just two or three, that have passed all of their exams on the first try. And Austin is one of them. The other one is our current president, Amanda Hogg. So, Austin, give us a little bit of a background of how you found the profession and how you decided to take that first exam and what you did to prepare for it.
So that's going to go all the way back to high school. I had a buddy of mine, Matt Moskell, that may or may not be watching. He's an actuary over at Lewis and Ellis Consultants now. And we had a calculus together back in high school, and he used to come up every weekend when he was at Texas A&M to visit his then girlfriend, and he'd come over to the house and hang out by the fire pit with me. And one of the weekends that he come up, he said, "Well, I was down there at this mathematics club, and they mentioned this stuff, actuarial science. And you got to take all these exams, but it's a pretty good job, pretty good salary, and good work-life balance. It's rated really highly on the best jobs to work in the world, and you get to use math." And we were kind of trying to figure out, what do you do with math? We were both really interested in mathematics, but we are trying to figure out, what do you do with this stuff? And probability was really the first time that I had seen mathematics being applied to be able to model, randomness and the world of finance, so to speak. And so a whole lot of different ideas that I had never really seen come together before came together through probability. And he said, "Well, the first exam's in probability, and we can go study for it and take it maybe once you get into college, and it's got like a 50% pass rate, and I don't really know if we want to do it now or you want to wait." I said, "Well, why don't we just go ahead and start studying for it now, and let's see if we can get through it. I mean, how hard can the thing really be, right?" And we went and bought. I don't know if I'm supposed to plug this or not, but we went and bought Coaching Actuaries, and they helped me go 7-0 on those prelim exams. And we went and studied for it 6 months, and like you said, we passed it. And at that point, I was hooked on the actuarial mathematics, and I decided that was going to be the path for me. And so I got down to the University of Texas, and I ended up meeting with Mark Maxwell down there. That's the director of the department. And I told him, I said, "Well, I passed this exam P thing." And he said, "Well, you need to come in and see me." This was in the first week of classes down there. I'm in there meeting with the director of the program, right? And I'm a freshman, and I was nervous as all get going in to meet that guy. And I walked in there, and he said, "How'd you manage to do that, passing that before you even got here?" And so I told him kind of the story. And he said, "Well, you're going to need to meet with Dr. Cadena and Dr. Austin over here, and they're going to help you out with learning some of the research skills that you're going to need when you go to grad school." I said, "What do you mean grad school? What are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, I mean, that's the kind of seems to be the track that you want to take." And so I came all the way through the undergrad, and I had 7 actuarial exams done by the time I got out of there. And I wrote to Mark, and he said, at that point, I'll always remember this. He said, "I'm envious of your position." And he said, "You're too far along for the master's program, but I'll tell you what we'll do is I'll have Dr. Cadena and have Dr. Austin write you reference letters." He said, "You need to apply directly to the PhD." He said, "Now the best place you can do that is Waterloo for North America." And he said, "Other than that, if you can't get in there, here's some other schools that you could go to." So I applied to Waterloo, and they came back and said, "Well, it's a full ride, and we'll pay for the housing, we'll pay for everything to come up here, and you can go directly into the PhD." And so, by the grace of God, I got in up here, and the rest is history. But if it wasn't for kind of going through the University of Texas and having the support that I had there, I wouldn't have got through the prelim exams. And now, once I got up here, the difference maker really was the coursework. And so whenever I was up here and I was studying for the fellowship exams, I had Professor Yi Shen up here teaches a mean stochastic calculus course. And that is all that you need for exam QFI QF. Now, that one had a 29.4% pass rate when I went and sat down and took it. I don't know if I could have handled it without having that particular course that I took from Yi up here. And so having access to those materials really helped me to be able to get through the fellowship exams. But also, I use the Infinite Actuary, and so I kind of the whole way through, I went through these kind of online study materials that I think are very popular, but they really do make a difference, and practicing every day really does make a difference. And so that really helped all the way through and helped me to go 10-0. But really it's the support network that's a difference maker. You got to have people that are supporting you throughout this journey, and people that are helping you out, making sure that you're staying on track, and giving you encouragement basically throughout the whole deal. For me, that was my parents, that was my advisors up here, that was my buddy Matt. People that really care about you and want you to succeed.
That's wonderful. I love that story. Um, we have a couple of questions already, so I am going to start asking them just so that we make sure we can answer all of them. Tansum Cheng is wondering, how did you effectively study the SOE exam and pass it in such a short period of time? How can I
Mhm.
get my ASA in 2 years?
So
I
that's about how long it took me to pass the prelim exams. Now I kind of drug my feet on the modules. I got up here and I got busy with some of the coursework and some of that stuff up here, and I didn't really get the chance to do the modules till later on. But the first 7 exams I did pass them in about 2 years. And how I did that was my freshman year, second semester was when COVID hit. That was March of 2020. And I got sent home. I mean, they kicked me out of the dorm, told me to get all my stuff and get out, you know. And so I drove back up to Fort Worth, where I'm from originally, and where my parents are at. And I went from basically every day getting to hang out with my friends and go to all these clubs that I was involved with on campus, and do all this other stuff, and hang out. I went from that to I had about three options. And that's I could hang out with mom and dad and watch television, or I could play with the puppy dogs, or I could study math. And because that was COVID, man. And so I was up there for about 2 years, hanging out with mom and dad, because University of Texas shut down up until about the winter of my last year there. They shut down, and so there was no in person classes. And so at that point, I mean, my mom calls it bonus time, right? That I got with them, and I'm blessed to have had that. And it was nice getting to just kind of have the time to leverage, to be able to sit and study. And so I think when you have the opportunity to leverage yourself like that, to leverage time and space to be able to study, that can turn into a real acceleration on your track. And so for me, that was COVID. I mean, that's hopefully once in a lifetime event. But that's kind of how I did it in such a short period of time. Was I had that, and then I had dad sitting there on the couch every night telling me, "Why don't you just go ahead and take the next one? Why wait around?" You know. And so he was trying to help motivate me to get me through it as quickly as possible. Him and mom were, and so that was kind of what changed the game for me. Was I was home and I had really nothing else to focus on but my career and mathematics and my college degree. And so I focused on the professional exams, because that was really, for maybe for some people that's not how they like to spend their time, but for me at that point, that was what I wanted to do. And so I leveraged that time, and I made good use of it, I think. And that's how I got through it in a couple of years. I think if you look me up on actuarial lookup, it says I did them in 2 years or something like that. So maybe that's where that comes from. But anyways.
That is that's amazing. Um, is there anything in particular that you can share with our audience about how you prepare for exams, or anything that helps you through the studying or the taking of the exam, anything you do on the day of the exam
Yeah.
that helps you maybe be more focused, more calm?
So, like I said, the coaching actuaries for the prelims, and the infinite actuary for the FSA. I'm not getting paid by them or anything to say that. I'm just telling you. I'm putting that out there. Those are the best options. But one thing that I did, especially for the fellowship exams, that really helped was I figured out that if I could code something that was in the study material, then I completely understood it. If I could write it in Python, or if I could write it in some programming language and write a program that would do the math, then I completely understood all the possible corner cases of what the mathematics was going to be, right? And so that's one thing that really helped me out, was looking at, do I understand this well enough to write this in a program? The other thing is, do I understand this well enough to tell it to somebody that don't really understand it, and put it to them in a way that they can kind of talk to you about it a little bit. So for me, that was mom and dad, talking to them about some of the math and some of the weird stuff that I was working on, and trying to put it on their level, because I mean they're smart people, but they're not mathematicians, and so trying to put it on their level to a point that we could have a conversation about it and they could ask me some questions and bounce things back and forth. If you can explain it to somebody that's not a practitioner or that had never done this stuff before, then I think you really have a great grasp of it. I think that's something that Feynman said too about physics, right? Is that Richard Feynman, that was real famous. He said if you can explain it to somebody that don't understand what's going on, he probably said it a lot nicer than that. But he said if you can explain it to somebody that don't know what's going on, then you really understand it yourself. And then the last thing on the day of that always helped me was I always sat in the same test center. Even when I had the fellowship exams, I made sure to schedule them for when I was on break and I could fly home and take them at the same testing center. And so I knew where the bathrooms were and I knew what the program was. I even knew some of the people in there by the end of it, you know. And so I always took it at the same testing center. And then I always had mom and dad drove me in for the exams every time that I took it. And that let me sit there and read over the stuff and review it and look at the last minute few things that I needed to look at before I took the test. The only other thing that I'll say on this is that's helped me through all of my exams, both in the stuff that I did in university, stuff for the PhD, even when I did my proposal here at Waterloo for my research proposal, is I made a cheat sheet in the days leading up to the exam, and I pretended, you know, I get one page. In my head, I say, okay, I'm going to get one page that I'm going to get to take into the exam with me. What do I want to have on that one page? And I would write out everything that I could possibly need to know on that one page. And then slowly I'd sit there and cross things out and say, okay, I understand this. If I just think of something this way, then I'll remember this. I'll remember this. And then you get down to the last few facts. And usually that's the stuff that they're probably not going to test you over anyways. But you get down to the last few facts and just memorize those two or three things, and then you're good to go on exam day. And so that was kind of what always helped me was making that little almost like a formula sheet or a cheat sheet of facts that I would need to know, and then making sure that I understand everything on that list before the day of the test. And a lot of practice, and a lot of practice. You got to make sure you do practice exams day in and day out leading up to the exam. So that's what helped me. That's my strategy, I guess. None of it's some kind of secret or anything. It's all pretty reasonable stuff to do, I think.
Yeah, but it all makes sense. Just two things. I have put links in the chat for coaching actuaries and the Infinite Actuary, just so you can find them. We are not promoting them, as the SO is not promoting this, but I wanted you to be able to access them since Austin mentioned them. And you have practice exams as part of your affiliate program membership, so you can just go to the page and find them. We have a bunch of new questions. So Stacy Miller says, I have a BS in math and I have been teaching private students for 18 years. I'm considering becoming an actuary. What is the first thing I need to do? Should I go for an MS, a master's in actuarial science?
So by MS, you mean Masters of Science. So there are some Masters of Actuarial Science programs that aren't just so like here at Waterloo, you have an M Math degree that's a Masters of Mathematics. You also have an M AcSci degree that's a Masters of Actuarial Science. And now I don't know where you are, Stacy, but here at Waterloo they have this Masters of Actuarial Science program that is more of a professional oriented program. Now they also have a similar thing at the University of Texas at Austin. That was the master's program that Mark Maxwell was saying that I had kind of grown out of by taking the exams, because what they do is they look at people that are coming in from other areas, like what you're saying about, you know, coming in from being a teacher, and they want to make a pivot into this career, and so they don't typically have any exams passed whenever they're doing that. They might have one or two because they've already been looking at it or whatever, but they come into it, they assume you have no knowledge of the material that you need to be an actuary. And they try to teach you from the ground up, almost like a condensed bachelor's degree. And so that's what the University of Texas offers. And that's a pretty top rate program. There's different programs like that, though, that are more professional oriented, where you wouldn't be doing, say, a master's of mathematics where you're doing a lot of heavy duty statistics and things like that. This would really focus you on the actuarial science aspects of these sorts of things. And so that's something that I could recommend would be something like a more business oriented master's of actuarial science as opposed to a master's of science or master's of mathematics. University of Texas has a great one though.
Good, thank you. The next question is, I don't have any in-depth background in math. Can I still succeed in this industry?
Well, it's going to be difficult if you don't want to study the math. You're not gonna. I don't think you're going to be successful if you don't want to have any desire to study the math. If you have a desire to study the mathematics and you want to and you really want to make it happen for yourself and you're interested in the math, then absolutely you can make it happen. And a lot of it does come down to, once you get into the field, a lot more of it comes down to business skills and managerial skills as you progress in your career and those kinds of things. But as far as the mathematics goes, you don't necessarily have to know a lot more than calculus starting out. If you don't know calculus, you're gonna have to learn calculus. But I mean, just to start out, just to get started, if you know a little algebra and a little calculus, you can you can figure the rest of it out as you go, and through those study materials like we talked about. But you have to have a desire to really want to do it in the first place. You got to really want it, because it's a long journey. It took me 5 years, and like Marta said, I'm one of the quicker ones, I think.
By far, you are definitely more of the exception than the rule. Most
That's the thing.
actuaries,
Yeah,
most actuaries take the exams more than once, which is fine.
absolutely.
Uh,
Of
they
course. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, they are very difficult, and it is we know, because but that's why they are so prestigious. The FSA and the ASA are very prestigious credentials, because it's not easy.
That's the thing.
Uh,
You got to want it. You got to want it.
you gotta want it, and you have to either like math or be good at math, or both.
Hmm.
I'm not I haven't taken the exams myself, but I imagine that if you do not like math, or if you are not good at math, you're not going to succeed on the exam pathway. Our next question is, what can students do besides taking exams that can best prepare them for their career? How much emphasis should be put on exams versus networking, research, or trying to land a position somewhere? What did you put a lot of time into other than exams to prepare for your career?
So that's been the major thing for me, besides the exams, has been the networking. And so through networking, I've been able to meet folks like John Robinson, Dave Dillon, presidents of the Society of Actuaries. I've gotten to meet internationally a lot of different actuaries that work in industry and also academics, and I've gotten to uh, be able to do research with them and listen to their kind of their problems and help them game stuff out. And so the networking has been what's allowed me to develop kind of my own rich community that's really helped me out throughout my time here. And so all of my projects come out of discussions with practitioners about problems that they had. And so even this kind of project that I'm working on risk sharing, that's got nothing to do with insurance companies. That's just the way that people between each other share risk. That even came out of a discussion with a chief actuary out of Florida about how to deal with risk adjustment. And actually, that has some implications to risk adjustment. And so, all of these projects that I'm working on have implications toward industry and real problems that industry people face. But without networking, without meeting these folks, I mean, I never would have come up with ideas to do the things that I'm doing now. And so networking is absolutely, that's the first, last, and best thing that you can do for your career, is build a network of people that are going to be able to help you, of positive people, kind people that are going to be able to support and encourage you throughout your career and throughout the exam progress. But also people that are going to be able to help you out. And so that's the best thing that you can do, besides working on your technical skills and working on the mathematics and working on the exams. That's the best thing that you can do for your career, is build a network out for yourself. And all you have to do is reach out to people. A lot of people, especially in this industry, are really, really kind people and are really outgoing people once you reach out. And so a lot of folks are really willing to help. You just got to kind of take the first step and say, I'd like to have a phone call with you and learn more about your work. And most people are really willing to talk about themselves and talk about the stuff that they do, and they're excited to talk about it, especially in this field. And so that's the best thing you can do for yourself, is just reach out and keep reaching out and build relationships with folks.
And the Society of Actuaries has several ways to help you with that. You, as part of your affiliate membership, you have a mentoring program called MentorLink. You can go in there and establish a relationship with a mentor for 3 months, and they will answer your questions and guide you in whatever you wanting to achieve. So I would definitely encourage you to check that out. We also invite a number of candidates to our in-person events with all the our SOAs and our FSAs and our ASAs. The next one is in Dallas, Texas, and it's Candidate Connect Health on that takes place June 22nd. So if you go to your affiliate member page and under events, there should be a link to register for that. The next question is, do you think there are any drawbacks to taking all those exams before your first job?
That's kind of a pointed question. I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll see. That's all I have to say about that.
I don't think that you're going to have any problems, but what I've heard, and this is just very anecdotal, and everybody's situation is different, is that employers usually like to see that you have at least 2 or 3 exams passed, just to make sure that because it shows that you're interested and that you are actually pursuing this for real. But as I said, every situation is absolutely different.
Yes.
Okay, Tony Chen says that he has a bachelor's in math with 3 exams passed. I'm struggling to find an entry-level position. What should I do to improve my chances?
Well, congratulations on the 3 exams passed, and that's fantastic. I think that the best thing that you can do, like I said, is networking and reaching out to people that are in industry. And I think that a lot of jobs kind of get found by networking, by building a strong network and building relationships with people. And so if you can do that, if you can find people to build a network with, that's the best thing to kind of zero in on what your job is going to be post grad. And so I think that's the best thing you can do is just keep reaching out to people and keep building relationships. And eventually, you'll strike on something. You just got to keep your nose to the grindstone, and you got to have a little bit of stick to itiveness. And I think that eventually things will kind of break your way. But you gotta keep building relationships with people to give yourself a better chance. Is what I would say. That's like I said, the best thing you can do for your career is keep getting to know people and keep building relationships with folks.
We have 2 more questions in 2 minutes. This one should be an easy answer. If my school does not have an actuarial science program, what classes should I take? Also, I'm interested in pure math. Is it okay to pursue a bachelor's in science in pure math?
Yeah, so to get a BS in pure math is fantastic. There's actually one of the researchers here, Riis-Due Wong. He just got a lifetime achievement award from the SOA a few years back. He's been quoted as one of the greatest actuarial minds of our time. He says that he wishes more people that come into the graduate program would have a bachelor's in pure math because they would have a better understanding of some of the stuff that's required to do more of this high level math. And so I think it's absolutely fine to go after the degree in pure math, and as long as you're still on the exam track and studying for the exams and understanding that content too. I think it's fine to go after the degree in pure math. You might find something you like in pure math too, and you might end up wanting to go to grad school or something like that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having a really broad knowledge base in terms of mathematics. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No. And also, you do not need to have a bachelor's in actuarial science to
Not
pursue
at all.
a credential. I mean,
Right.
obviously, as we said before, you have to like math, but you can come from any background. We have time for just one quick question. Where do you see your career going post-doctorate?
That's a great question too. I really enjoy working with industry. I enjoy working with people from with practitioners to do research, and so I kind of see myself as a little bit of a specialist that way, in the sense that I can do research. I think that there's a lot of skills that you acquire during a doctorate to be able to do research that have been really important for me to learn, and so having that ability, I think, makes me uh, a little bit of a specialist in industry. But I could also see it going the other way and going into academia. I could see myself being a professor. I love research. I love teaching. There's a whole lot of fun things to get to do with all that. And so I could see myself either as a professor that works closely with industry. I could see that happening, or I could see myself as kind of a specialist in industry. But either which way, I it's going to be a fun ride, and so I'm looking forward to whatever kind of comes my way after I finish the PhD up here. I'm in talks with a lot of different people right now about what exactly it is that I'm going to be doing, but I could see it breaking either way. I don't really know when I'm going to know exactly what I'm going to do, but I'll tell you, I have enjoyed learning during the PhD how to do research that is going to help people in industry, that's going to help companies, that's going to help individuals to be able to manage risk better. John Robinson, when he was up here, he said the actuaries of the world probably couldn't fill a football stadium, but they manage trillions of dollars worth of risk. And the insurance the management of risk by insurance companies is what allows people to kind of get on with living their lives, which and it's what allows industry to get on with being successful, is the ability of this small group of individuals to manage large scale risks. And I think that I've gotten to learn some pretty special ways of doing that up here at Waterloo, and I think that that's going to be something that is really important for me going forward, is my ability to help people and help companies. And so that's been a real pleasure getting to be up here and getting to interact with so many different people all over the world. And I think whatever happens next is it's going to be exciting.
And I'm sure you're going to be very successful, whatever it is that you choose to do. Well, that is the end of our webinar for today, our Lunch and Learn. Thank you, Austin. It was always such a pleasure to talk to you and learn more about what you're doing and how you're doing it. If you have any questions, you can reach me. I am going to put my name and my email in the chat. And you can always reach me about any of the resources or anything that we've talked about today. And with further ado, thank you, Austin. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next time on Lunch and Learn. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you all for being here today. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or get my email or whatever to talk to me further. I'm happy to help each and every one of y'all with in whatever way I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.